I had bought a motorcycle in the spring of 1948, never having even ridden on one before. It was a 74 cubic inch Indian. And along about the same time I bought that, a friend of mine who worked a meal job at the same place at the University of Illinois, he and I had talked about maybe going to Mexico for summer school. But one of the teachers, the Spanish teachers, lived in the same building. One of the Spanish teachers at the U of I lived in the same building there, and he had talked to him about it. So, at any rate, finally we started taking steps to get into school there in the summer.
And that was after your first year at IU, or U of I, or
U of I.
Champaign?
I started in the spring of '47. And so this was about a year after I started.
Before you
a little
met,
over a year after I started when I actually went there.
before you met Mom.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I had a friend in Mattoon who had a motorcycle, and he was going out to Oklahoma to visit a relative and hopefully get a summer job. And so I had some company on the first part of the trip going out to Oklahoma.
And you just had to learn how to ride real quick, huh? You bought an
Well,
Indian.
I didn't leave until the latter part of June, and I had from spring until the latter part of June to learn how to ride it.
Wait, let's get a picture of this. Hold it up, and let me get it on. This is Dad on his Indian. Let's see. Beautiful bike. And everybody says it looks like James Dean. Jimmy Dean.
That's what some people say.
Okay. That's good. Several people have said that, actually. Okay, you can put it down now. And we got an idea.
Part of my luggage,
Oh, yeah, point it out.
and these two saddlebags on the back end, and then I had other clothes rolled up and tied on with a rope, and I think a bag. There wasn't room for a lot of luggage for a long trip.
Not much at all.
So when we got to my friend's relatives, it was raining. Rain started raining right after we got there. And the next morning I was to leave. He was staying there. So I found out that it was raining, had been raining all night. I found out the only way out of Tulsa was the same road I came in on. Everything else was flooded.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was a bad day. I think 3 times the ropes broke holding my luggage, because the road, not only the only one coming in, but it was full of potholes. And so 3 times the ropes broke holding my luggage on the back end. And it was raining. And so that day I covered, I think, 60 some miles. And part of those were pushing the motorcycle.
Through the flooded water.
Yeah. Well, it had already just about stopped by then, but I got water in the distributor.
Oh, my goodness.
So the motorcycle wouldn't run. So I pushed it till I got to a place where there was a gas station. And they blew out the water, and I was able to get it started again. But it was the whole thing, the whole trip, I think it was 7 days to make the trip. Because I had a lot of things were not going very well. Like when I got to Laredo, Texas, it was flooded.
A little louder.
Louder.
Yeah. Laredo, Texas? Why was it? You must have had terrible rains that year.
That was pretty bad rain. And I had to go out of my way about, anyway, much farther down the border to cross. And so it added miles, added quite a few miles. There were a lot of little things about the trip that made it not go too well. I mean, some of the gas stations, like after I got in Mexico, and these routes, there's only one major route that went down through Mexico. And when you got on these other routes, I mean, if you're like going into a gas station, you'd see a 55-gallon drum, maybe a big drum. That was their gas. And I mean, just a little space on the corner almost. So it was quite different. And I had people ask me, people that stopped along the way who were driving down there, asked me if I had a gun. And they couldn't believe I was going down to Mexico without a weapon. Well, I stopped, I think the second night or third night in Monterrey, Mexico. And I don't remember all the other places, but anyway, I finally did arrive down there, and after a day or two, my friend from the University of Illinois went down by train and bus. So he didn't get to experience all these wonderful things that happened to me.
Your wonderful experiences on a motorcycle, on the Indian.
Yeah. So, school was in the summer school. We went to summer school down there.
Mm-hmm.
It basically, I mean, more people from the United States than any place else. So it wasn't that you were going to go down there and see a lot of Mexicans or Europeans or whatever else. I mean, they were there, but I think most of the people were from the United States. So it was 6 or 7 weeks of summer school. I think I got 6 hours, two 3-hour courses, and 6 hours of credit anyway for the time that I spent.
Did you learn to speak Spanish better while you were there?
Yes, but the place where we stayed, this family, this was arranged ahead of time. This family had, I think it was the father who was in the Guatemalan consulate.
Oh.
And spoke Spanish, of course. One of the sons, I forget now where he worked, but he wanted to speak English. I mean, he wanted somebody to speak English to him. He didn't want to speak Spanish. So it made it a little more difficult because I didn't have anybody that wanted to help me that way.
Yes.
But we had a really good time, and like most people went down there, it was more of a vacation than anything else probably because we didn't work very hard. Mm-hmm. We went to see all the sights on motorcycle, and we saw
Who's
really a lot. This guy,
he had a motorcycle too?
no, he went down by bus and train.
Oh, that's right.
But there was room for 2 on the motorcycle.
Okay, yes.
So we did our running around on the
Oh,
motorcycle.
nice.
Yeah, it was very nice. The whole thing was a very nice deal, a very nice experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I look back on it now and think I was crazy, but, and I suppose around here there are people that are the same way, but down there, thieves are everywhere. And I think back on how I ever kept the motorcycle from being stolen out from underneath me almost.
Well, I think about, sending one of my sons doing that, and it's scary.
Yeah, but if you don't know, what it's going to be like,
That's
why
right.
it's so easier to do it.
Yeah.
On the way down there, I mean, you go over about 8,000 feet and then down into Mexico City.
Okay.
Mexico City is built on an old lake bed. It used to be a lake.
Hmm.
So you're up about 8,000 plus feet before you go down. And then I'm not sure what the altitude is. But during the course of that, I mean, there's a lot of winding roads, dead ends where you couldn't see what was coming up ahead of you.
Oh.
And my front wheel brake cable broke. I still had the brake for the rear wheels, but you use your front wheel brake quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And when I got into Mexico City, and when I first had time to look around to find a dealership, by then I got the brakes fixed.
It is a wonder that it wasn't stolen from you
Oh, yeah.
on your trips.
Now inside, there was a gate in this the place where these people lived, so you had some shelter. It wasn't just out in the open, but it's possible somebody could have gotten in there and somehow gotten it out. I had my raincoat on there one day, and the next day I looked, it was gone.
It was gone.
It was something. But it was quite an experience going down there. And I remember one time I had borrowed my brother Ray's jacket, his Marine jacket, and the whole thing is so complicated I can't even remember how it was. But I was chasing back and forth. I lost it. This pickup truck with people in it had found it. They were trying to find me, and
You lost it off the back of your bike?
yeah.
Oh.
And the parcel post, UPS or whatever it was, truck, asked me if I could I was going to go back and look something. They wanted me to deliver one of their packages they forgot to deliver. I mean, it was really wild. And after all of that, that's when I got to Laredo, Texas, and found out I couldn't go across because it was flooded.
Oh.
So it's really long. I mean, that's 6 or 7 days on the road. That's a long time to be on the
Oh,
road.
it is. And where did you sleep at night?
I don't remember, except this first night after going 60-some miles, I just remember getting a cheap motel and just going up and going to bed.
Uh-huh.
But as far as the rest of these places, I don't really remember. Can't remember.
Oh.
So, but it was fun. We had a good time.
You did a lot of nice things and fun things.
Yeah, and I got pictures around someplace. Of course, it was on the way back. Now, on the way back, before on the way back, we went to a store and did some shopping. Wanted to buy some stuff, and I ended up spending more money than I should have.
In Mexico.
In Mexico, I bought this suede coat. It was beautiful, beautiful suede. And
What color?
it was kind of a brownish.
Uh-huh.
But then I didn't have enough money to come back on.
Oh, even on a motorcycle, huh? Oh.
So I guess I called or sent a wire or something to my folks asking for money. Well, it took 2 or 3 days before it got there.
And if you don't have any money, where do you stay? How do you, yeah.
Well, I guess I was staying where I was before. They let me stay there. But then there was a guy from Ohio who was going to summer school there.
Uh-huh.
He had a Jeep, I think. And so my friend hooked up with him as, to ride back with him. And I went along either following or leading. We just took turns following and leading back, and we drove then all the way back. And we stopped, I think, twice. I know the last time we just, one time after we got across the border, we went to this park, roadside park, and slept on the benches.
I thought I remembered
Yeah.
that.
And
They didn't have any money either,
I
huh?
like to say it. We flipped to see who would get the table and who had to use the benches. The table was twice as big.
Who got the table?
I did.
You deserved it. You were on the motorcycle.
Yeah. And on the way back, we went out of our way. We went over to the Pacific side. And I'm not going to be able to remember all these things, but there was this volcano that was still active.
Oh,
I can't think of the name of it now. I've looked it up in the World Book.
this is still in
different
Mexico?
times. Still in Mexico.
Okay. Now hold that thought. Okay.
well, we went, maybe I can look this up sometime before we finish, but we went over to the west coast. Guadalajara was the town we were shooting for, but of course this volcano, this active volcano, was in between Mexico City and Guadalajara, someplace, I'm not sure where it was. So we rented, one night we were there, we rented mules, and these mules took us across the lava fields, and it was steam, all of them were steaming. Took us across the lava fields to get us so we could see better, see the volcano erupt. Yeah. Now I've got some pictures of that, black and white pictures of that. I don't know.
And the mules didn't mind walking across it?
No. And one of the things that was really, I don't know how to, it was hard to take, because as you walked along, you saw the top of a church steeple, very top. So it was buried.
Buried.
And I don't know how many tribes of people were buried in this, because it was not expected, and they didn't realize it was coming. So it was kind of a sobering thing in a way. I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people are underneath that lava.
And you're walking across it. Oh my. That's very strange.
It really is.
Ah.
Anyway, there were a lot of things that we saw, basically, you know, just tourist things that anybody would try to see when they
But you got your money from your parents, so you were able to get back.
And I think we spent one night in a motel on the way back.
So you all got beds then? Or did you have to flip for the bed?
I can't remember that. I don't know. But there was one time we just spread our clothes out or whatever we had alongside the road and slept. So there were two nights that we slept outside, I know, on the way home.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not too sure about the rest of it.
Camping?
Sort of like that. Yeah.
You had plenty to eat?
At night, I mean, I was following them a lot of times at night. And there were times when they just weaved back and forth. Everybody was pretty sleepy.
Oh.
Just about asleep.
Oh.
They were weaving back and forth. Then there was the day that I hit this pig, and I'm sure I've mentioned that.
Oh,
to you.
yes. I didn't know that was couldn't remember if that was the same trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the same
Tell
one
us about
in
that.
Mexico. Well, this motorcycle has a screw down
Pick it up again.
deal on the handlebars, which means when you get it tightened down, the front wheels won't move. They just have to keep going straight ahead.
Uh-huh.
And of course I use that on the cross country
Uh-huh.
driving. And this one day, this pig, and the roads just weren't very good. And I hit this pig, and it rolled, and it scared me, and I kind of went into a shock. And first thing I thought about was somebody's liable to take a shot at me for hitting their pig, out in the countryside here. But anyway, I don't know whatever happened to the pig, but fortunately, I didn't get spilled.
Oh, good.
And then
But
there
it was squealing bad, wasn't it? Is that what scares you so much too?
It was pretty scary though.
Oh.
But on the way down there, I had an experience where one of these big Texas Longhorns was right in the middle of the road.
Oh.
I mean, those horns looked like they were at least 6 feet across, just standing there looking at me.
Oh.
I slowed down, stopped, and just stood there, and I just barely went around him. I mean, this guy was big.
Very scary.
Oh, yes, it was really big.
You don't know what they're going to do.
I know. So that was another one of my little things.
At least it didn't go after you.
Yeah. Yeah, I could outrun it on a motorcycle, but I had to get around it
Yeah.
first. Boy, it was big.
Oh.
So,
But you got home safe and sound.
yeah, came up driving into the backyard. The motorcycle and the Jeep, see, they went they spent the night there. These other two guys
Uh-huh.
spent the night at our house there too. But I know my mother was very, very happy to see me.
I bet.
Because while I was gone, the son of the motorcycle dealer where I bought my motorcycle
Uh-huh.
was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Oh, no. Oh,
And of course, I
oh.
didn't, I didn't think that much of
Well,
what I was doing, knowing how it might affect her, but I know it.
you're the baby. I'm sure she was concerned about you.